Irish architect and designer Eileen believed in the concept, common among modern pioneers, that armed with the right city planning and faith in technology, architecture could revolutionise living patterns, improving the lives of modern city dwellers on a physical, economic and even spiritual level. Painfully aware of the inner city slums of Paris in the 1920s, Gray experimented in minimal living environments, creating multifunctional living spaces. Gray visited several exhibitions in Germany from 1927 to 1931, which addressed contemporary housing concerns and urbanisation, which inspired her to shift her focus during the 1930s to projects that addressed the changing social climate more explicitly in France. In the 1920s, laws were changed in France to permit workers to borrow money long-term so that they actually own their own minimal housing in designated areas of towns and villages. Severe housing shortages had been exacerbated by the effects of the Great Depression, influenced the development of mass housing, usually centred on multifamily urban dwellings. Gray devoted most of her studies to single-family minimal housing units. Her camping tent and ellipse house projects of the 1930s were independent of their site. Their modular construction enabled them to be dismantled and moved from one site to another freely. While her contemporaries focused on the material and the technical aspects of such architecture, she concentrated on the human qualities and sensibilities of these projects, subdividing the spaces to suit the parents and children, creating storage compartments which enveloped the communal living spaces. The Popular Front government initiatives granted workers paid holidays in France during the 30s and brought into question the development of leisure activities and facilities within expanding urban environments. Gray responded with socially motivated designs for leisure centres, vacation centres, social housing and holiday homes. These projects were symbolic of working class solidarity. Her concerns differed from her contemporaries in that Gray's designs focused on the individual or the family, yet in the hope that her projects would actually be mass-produced. Her writings on urbanism are a direct response to Le Corbusier, the king of modernism. His hypothetical large-scale housing projects of the 1920s included high-rise skyscrapers created for millions of people, connected by vast motorways and highways, and designed to house the industrial and intellectual elite, not the poor. Gray, however, emphasised the need to create spacious green areas in built-up zones for recreational services, gardens and parklands with extensions of surrounding buildings. Rather than building upward, Gray explored specific design sites, emphasising sanitation, safety, and the needs for children. She emphasised the need to create a collective community for families, single people, and young couples in an urban environment which has a plethora of activities, freely available, yet all to one which encompasses nature, not sprawling concrete. Sadly, none of Gray's urban designs or minimal housing projects were ever produced. None of them were ever brought to full-scale permission. Gray's urban design needs to address the needs of the people engaging with their lives. It's not about creating buildings for people, it's about the people. To quote, "We do live and will continue to live in times of enormous change, times in which everything that touches human beings has to be rethought. Should we never look ahead? For those that turn backward will never see the light. They will always live in the shadow of the past. Those who have enough strength ought to rise and make themselves heard. When one has faith, one can transform the world." Thank you.